Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to come in and talk about something that I saw recently, and I'm going to share some stuff on my screen about it. It has to do with Jasmine Crockett, the Congresswoman, and Stephen A. Smith. Apparently, Stephen A. Said some things about Jasmine in terms of speaking about what Jasmine's kind of known for. She's kind of known for I guess some would say outrageous or maybe loud. I don't know how you want to describe it. Or she's very anti-Trump, and a lot of people cheer for her because she'll jump out on the front lines on the whole Trump thing, and I thought that was really interesting to watch. I didn't know much about Jasmine. I have nothing against her. I don't know Stephen A. either. I was on a show a couple times, but it was many years ago. Now, here's the thing. So right now, Stephen A. has been, he was making some points about the Jasmine Crockett thing in terms of kind of really questioning whether or not Jasmine's approach is the most productive approach, right? He was sort of, kind of saying like, okay, do you have to really approach things this way? Do you have to be loud? Do you have to sort of play into these racial stereotypes of how black women are supposed to behave? Neck swinging, yelling, screaming, throwing around insults, stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting. So Stephen A. got some backlash for what he said, and I don't know, I'm probably going to sound a little biased because my opinion is my opinion on it, and I'm going to just give you some perspectives, and I also hope that we can hear each other and not and still love each other even if we disagree. Because at the end of the day, it really isn't going to matter what I think or what you think. What matters at the end of the day is what you do with your life. I mean, that's what I believe. If you want to know what I believe, that's what I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you, on my Instagram, Dr. Boyce Money. I actually have a clip of Stephen A. speaking about Jasmine Crockett, and so I'm going to play this, and let me know if you guys can hear this or not. I'm going to play this loud so you guys can hear what Stephen A. said about his critique of Jasmine Crockett. So he got a lot of pushback. A lot of the things that you would expect. This sort of protect black women energy kind of popped up in terms of people feeling that he was attacking her and it's not right and things like that. And I understand that. Like when I really said that I don't think Lizzo should be promoting obesity to black people because so many black people are dying from obesity. I don't believe in promoting the idea of dead black people. I know that I got a lot of pushback, and the narrative that was similar to what I'm seeing with Stephen A. is this idea of older versus younger. Who the hell are you, this old black man, telling me what to do and whatever. And I think that I was right because right after I mentioned my statement about Lizzo and slutting herself out and promoting obesity, right after that there was COVID, and lots of black people died from obesity. If y'all remember, give me a yes if you remember that during COVID, the number one risk factor in the pandemic was obesity. And so everybody said, oh, this is a state of emergency. We got to warn black people because obesity, everybody's got to get that shot. You got to go get that shot because obesity is the number one problem, and black people have it. And I said, well, that's exactly what the fuck I was saying, and y'all weren't listening because you were too caught up in your feelings and you were too caught up in trying to be cool and trendy and never spending time trying to be correct. Right. And this is one of the issues that we have as a community is ain't nobody out here trying to be serious. Everybody out here trying to be lit. Everybody out here trying to be cool. Everybody out here trying to fit in with ghetto toxic culture. And that's why you end up losing. I'm just going to tell you the honest to God truth. And you don't listen to the people that understand what the hell's going on. I am not a 29-year-old. Lizzo's 28, 29. I said, I'm not here to debate you. Just like I told Tyler, the creator, the rapper. I said, I'm not here to debate you. We're not equals, man. I know white people put you on a pedestal, made you famous, and gave you money. But in my community, I'm the elder. I have children older than you. So I'm not going to debate you, man. I'm just going to give you a perspective. If you listen, cool. If you don't want to listen, that's fine. Go ahead and do what your masters are telling you to do, and let's see how that works out for you. So really, I think just generally before I play this clip with Stephen A. I think that you have a problem in your community that you think that entertainers or people who've been made famous by white folks don't have to listen to older black people. I don't know. Tell me if you understand this, if you remember this. I remember a time where we would listen to our elders even if we thought our elders were wrong. Does anybody else agree with that? Does anybody come from that tradition? Where grandma would say something and you'd be like, man, grandma, you old fashioned. You ain't with it. You don't get it, grandma. But everybody listened to grandma because grandma knew what the hell she was talking about. Grandma, she might not have been right, but grandma had a perspective. And you listen to grandma because grandma was grandma. And I'm gonna just tell you the truth. I really think that in our community, I really think that That the question to ask is, have we stopped listening to our elders? I really think that this is something that happens. Like white people will give a 20-year-old Negro a bunch of money, make him super famous. He becomes a famous rapper, athlete, you name it, politician, and they're using you like a damn puppet. And your grandparents will see right through the bullshit and will call it out and you say, you don't know what you're talking about. You ain't got no money. That's ignorant. That's crazy behavior. So anyway, before I play, so I wanted to lay out the context to let you know why I wanted to make remarks about the Stephen A. Jasmine Crockett thing because I think at the end of the day, at the very least, Stephen A. is not 100% wrong. Jasmine's not 100% wrong, right? She's younger. She's got a perspective. It should be respected. But this idea that somehow, black women are unimpeachable, that you can't give instruction to a younger black woman, is an impossible idea. It's a ridiculous idea. It's a white supremacist idea. It's a racist idea that's been pushed down through 40, 50 years of policy where they were literally pushing the black man out of the family. Tell me if you remember this. Tell me if anybody else noticed this. Since the 1970s and 80s, when they created the welfare state, they pushed the father out. They pushed the patriarch out, and they said this is a matriarchy. And anybody who critiques anything a black woman says or does, especially if she's a Democrat, is going to be labeled a sexist or whatever. And there are times where men have wisdom that women don't have. There are times where women have wisdom that men don't have. I listen to my grandma all the time. I listen to my mother all the time because I knew that they had a perspective I did not have. And so the same thing way I listen to my mother and my grandmother, you should be listening to your father and your grandfather. Anybody who disagrees, to hell with you because you're wrong. I'm sorry. I love you, but you're wrong. So anyway, let me play this back. Let me play this clip before I get elevated. This is kind of firing me up a little bit because I don't like this, man. I think this is disrespectful to our whole community, and this is why we losing. If you ever want to know why white folks got their foot on your neck, this is why you're losing because you ain't paying attention to you're so caught up in the bullshit that you're not paying attention to the real shit. So let me play it let me just play this clip, and so we can hear what Stephen A. had to say about this, and then I'm gonna circle back and kind of break it down a little bit because believe it or not, this is economics. So here it goes.
You just heard that there was also another one where she called them again a white supremacist, but it didn't just stop there. She went to her own governor of the state of Texas, who's in a wheelchair, by the way. Keep that in mind. And listen to what she said about him.
We in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Okay, now what I'm going to do is stop it really quick and ask you, give me a yes in the comments if you can hear that. Were you guys able to hear that? Okay, let me know if you're able to hear that. So basically, this is an issue Stephen A. had is that she was talking about the governor of Texas and he's disabled, and she was making fun of his disability, I guess calling him Governor Hot Wheels. First question I would ask you, just so we can point out all the hypocrisy that exists between both Democrats and Republicans. Um, would that be, let's say that there was a black Democrat who was in a wheelchair and a white Republican said, "Oh, we got old Governor Hot Wheels over here. We got this guy. He must be Mr. Hot Wheels." How many of you would think that that would be an inappropriate statement? How many of you would probably expect somebody to say that's racist, that's wrong, you can't say that, right? Again, I know people. There might be a lot of people in Texas that make fun of him being in a wheelchair. I get it. That's fine. I don't make fun of people in wheelchairs, but maybe that's a Texas thing. I have no idea. I don't think the people I know from Texas don't do that. But how many of you would agree with me that if there was a black man, if a black man was in a wheelchair, I'm trying to think. If Stevie Wonder's blind. So what if there was a Republican who didn't like something Stevie Wonder said politically, and he said, "Well, here we got the Mr. CNI dog over here. Do you think that that would be okay? You think it would say, oh well, it's just what people say. They just having fun, or do you think that people would say that's not cool? That's racist?" Right? So I just want to, and again, there's hypocrisies everywhere. You can point to it on the Democrat or the Republican side. That's why I don't fool with either party. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm just black. I got a shirt that says that. It has all the boxes. I don't check Democrat box, I don't check Republican box. I check the black box. And the reason I check the black box is because when you look at the history of the Democrat and Republican parties, you can't show me any evidence that either party has ever elevated black wealth in any meaningful way. When you look at the history of both parties, you can't point a single time where where our kids were better educated because of that party. You can't point to times where our families were stronger because of that party. You can't point to any times where our communities were safer because of that party. Because you can go to Chicago right now and find about eight or nine neighborhoods where a black child was shot this week, and ain't none of that on national news. I wonder why. Oh, that's right. It doesn't fit a Democratic Party agenda, so they're not going to talk about that. So anyway, let me get back to it. Let me play this clip. So let me just give me confirmation you can hear it. I want to make sure my audio is coming through. I'm going to finish playing what Stephen A. had to say because I think that this is a community discussion. This is a conversation between two well-known black people, much more well-known than me, and I think it's worth discussing amongst intelligent black people. I invited you here because you're smart. I invited you here because you care. I invited you here because you got boots on the ground, really connecting to our community, and that this is why you have the ultimate authority, in my opinion, in terms of this, in terms of sort of judging or however you want to look at it in terms of evaluating situations like this. So here it goes. Let me play it again.
And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes.
Governor Hot Wheels. And the only thing that is hot about him is that he's a hot ass mess. And that's going to serve 750,000 constituency in the 30th District of Texas. That is what I was saying. Never mind what she feels. Never mind whatever level of justification you may have towards feeling the way that you feel. When you're in her position, that's not going to get you anywhere. That's what I was saying. What I was saying was this educated, brilliant black woman representing over 750,000 people is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And that's fine when you're in the streets. How many of y'all bring the streets to the table when you're at the negotiating table trying to get a deal done? How many of you are able to think that for a second that you're able to bring street verbiage to Capitol Hill and that's going to work for you? You literally have senators and congressional figures on Capitol Hill on the side of the Republicans telling the networks, whether it's Fox News, News Nation, or anybody else, please, please, please put her front and center on camera. Why would they do that? Because they know it wins for them. And what I was saying was, I appreciate her passion, her intellect, the fact that her heart and her willingness to be courageous and all of those things are in the right place. But my God, isn't it about winning too? Ain't it about getting it done? How about positioning yourself, since Jasmine Crockett was on the record stating that we got to keep our eyes on the federal courts because the conservative federal courts are putting forth rules and regulations, policies, and fiduciary and judicial things that serve to benefit one side of our country, but not necessarily all sides. Well, wouldn't that mean that you'd want to become a judge? You are a lawyer by trade. You are licensed to practice law in Texas, Arkansas, and the federal courts. Wouldn't you be somebody that we'd want on the courts, or at least on committees, having a strong arm towards?
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. Assume you guys were able to hear that. Let me know if you're able to hear that. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm seeing here, right? Uh, Obviously, politics is a race to the bottom, right? Everybody wants to out ghetto each other because Trump, unfortunately, he doesn't represent the presidency in the same degree of dignity that, say, a Barack Obama did. Barack Obama, he would never say the things that Trump says. He would never behave the way Trump behaves. He was respected around the world. Trump and Obama, they contrast each other in the sense that Obama was he had dignity, but he came off as weak because the whole time Obama was in office, and I dealt with the Obama administration. It was not fun. It was really difficult to get them to even do basic things for Black people, and basically the idea was he can't do anything. He can't do anything. That's what I kept hearing. I kept hearing everybody telling me how weak the president is, and the president can't do anything for black people. And that was disappointing because black people were expected to do a lot for him. And then Trump comes along, and what Trump presents is a contrast. He shows you that if a president really wants to represent his people, he actually can do that. Trump represents, maybe rich white men. You could say that those are his constituents and others, and he's representing them. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. He's standing up and fighting for what he wants. And but at the same time, he doesn't have the dignity and the grace that Obama had. And I get that, right? So he fights in the basement, and so maybe there are some people who say that if I want to compete with this guy, I got to go in the basement too, right? If he talks like a scumbag, I'm gonna talk like a scumbag too. If you can be ghetto, I can be ghetto too. And maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't, I don't know. I remember when Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. So maybe going high hasn't worked. So maybe their tactic is like, we're gonna go low too. Okay, fine. Then we have a big race to the bottom in our American political system. Yet another reason why I tell you to, hide your wife, hide your kids, prepare your family, because these politicians are not going to be there for you in the long term. What I want to present and ask you is this. Can you tell me, in what way does the black community benefit when Jasmine Crockett goes out and, calls somebody Governor Hot Wheels, or makes a sassy remark about Trump that gets everybody snapping and clapping and everything else? In what way does that benefit the black family? Tell me, does that benefit anybody? Does anybody in here win or benefit if that happens? Um, Let me ask you this question. Black wealth has been declining consistently for many, many decades. At what point is there any remark that she's made about Trump? Have any of those remarks ever increased black wealth on any level? Are the people in her district doing better financially because she, cussed out Trump and she made a Kendrick Lamar video? Like, I don't know if y'all saw that. She was doing it right. I get it, right? People want to be trendy, people want to fit in. They do TikTok dances. I was in China in 2019, and I think I did break dancing on a roof in China for fun, but I don't dance every day thinking that that's really going to make a difference, right? Tell me, is there anything that you can point to where the rest of us benefit from this other than entertainment, right? There's the entertainment aspect of it, and here's what I want you to consider, and I want you to hear this. Again, I don't care if you agree with me. Please don't feel like I'm asking you to agree with me. You don't have to. I just want you to listen to me. Can you at least listen? Can we at least listen to each other? I know that that's not popular in this country, but can we at least listen? Um, I really want to see results. I want to see something that's working. I get tired of symbolism, and the studies show that African American people love entertainment more than any other group of people in America. Did you know that? There's literally a study by Nielsen. When Nielsen was sending reports to corporations on how to steal African American dollars by getting black people to spend, do you know what they said in the report? They basically said Negroes love entertainment. They said they can get so captivated by entertainment that they lose touch with reality. That it also said that they worship celebrities. That literally, if you put a celebrity in front of them and you say this, you have the celebrity selling rat poison and telling them that it's vegetable oil, they will eat the rat poison because their favorite celebrity told them to do it. They didn't put that in those exact words, but that's pretty much what they said. They said, look, if you're selling laundry detergent, just get a celebrity. If you're selling cheeseburgers, get a celebrity. If you're selling malt liquor, get a celebrity, because there's something about their self-esteem that leads them to feel that they have no control over their own lives. So, like any other addict, they just disconnect from reality in order to make themselves feel better. To some extent, entertainment is an opium for the masses. So, it's symbolism is another form of entertainment. Symbolism is opium. It is something that makes you say, you get them, girl. That's right. You tell them. And then you go back to your raggedy ass life, your racist ass boss, your empty bank account, your missing baby daddy, your struggle. Every struggle that you have in life is still there. Your son still got shot up in the street, not by a cop, but by a black man. Most black men I know that got murdered, they didn't get killed by no cop. They got killed by a black man. Let's just keep it 100. And at the end of the day, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Everything stays the same. Like that Olita Adams song, was it nothing? Wait, no, actually, she said everything must change. Right? So it's like you change the words. Nothing must change. Everything stays the same. Because what's happening is that your imagination is being carried forward, but your physical life actually is not. You open up your bank account, it's still empty. So one of the things that I'm really excited about, the reason I'm so fixated on the wealth conversation and so happy I understand how that works is because I'm like, you have more money now. Your life has changed. Now you can pay your child support on time. I'm happy about that. Now you can go on vacation or you can quit that job because we figured out a way for you to get free from that corporate plantation. And now your life has improved because your stress levels have gone down because you're not going to work, having to fight every day against somebody who hates your guts. And you're not sort of living in this horrible slavery that so many people are living in. So here's what I want to go to with this. So number one, all this banter, all this between the Democrats and Republicans don't do a damn thing for black people. I don't even know. I'm still confused about black people that are out there, fighting against ICE. Like ICE is really coming to your house trying to come get you. No, ain't no ICE coming to get you. They ain't even bringing ICE for your lemonade. What? Why in the world are you acting like ICE is there for you? Who told you that ICE is coming there to get illegal immigrants, particularly those with a criminal record? I don't know a single African American person who has been detained and deported by ICE. And so when I hear people say they're gonna deport all of us, I'm like, no, they're not. Like that's not happening. Or the MAGA, they're gonna kill everybody. Where? Show me where. I mean, I'm down for the cause, man. You show me where the MAGAs went into a black neighborhood with AK-47s and murdered everybody. I'm there. I'm right there. I'm getting on the phone with Farrakhan and we gonna figure that out. We gonna go find out like what's going on with this whole murdering black people thing by MAGA thing. Murdered by MAGA. We gonna go get to the bottom of this together. But this what happens so often is that the politicians will get you wrapped up in a fairy tale. They will literally get you to the point where you're riled up over something that has not happened yet. And this also feeds into something where I really want to warn you, be really careful about social media. Does every study shows that social media creates mental illness in people? Has anybody seen those studies? Anybody seen those studies out there that basically explain that social media makes people mentally ill? It gets you riled up, your cortisol levels go up, and you're angry about stuff that doesn't even affect you, stuff that's not happening in your neighborhood, stuff that's not happening to anybody you know, but you saw it on Instagram, so you're pissed. You're angry all day long because you feel that somehow you're next, right? And actually there's another study that shows that politicians are able to get power by keeping you in fear. That's what they did in 9/11. That's why, when people say it could have been a false flag operation by the Israelis, I'm like, yeah, it could have been because fear is the easiest way to get power. That's what Hitler did. That's what a lot of people do, right? They even claim that this could have happened in World War II with Pearl Harbor. When you get people afraid, they pretty much submit to authority. So politicians pretty much, they all know this better than anybody. So their number one goal is to come to the black community and they don't say, how do we help black people? They say, how do we make black people afraid? They don't say, how do we get black people to think logically? Because a logical black person is a very dangerous thing. They say, how do we get black people angry, pissed off, scared, mad, just fired up? How do we get them fired up? And then they know that once you're fired up, once you're scared, pissed off, mad, all these other things, you're going to go and comply. You're going to comply with what they tell you to do. So at the end of the day, what I would say to you is take care of your own life. These politicians, I don't think they're doing a good job, honestly. I don't, again, I always dare people. I always say, well, show me evidence that I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. That's it. Just prove me wrong. Show me where I'm wrong. Like, I don't see where the Democrats have benefited black people. I don't, the Republicans either. I don't vote, I've never voted Republican, but I have voted Democrat. So I expect something from the Democrats because I gave them something. Republicans, I never expect anything because I never gave them my vote, right? But I give the Democrats my vote. It's like I go in the store and I pay money to the clerk and I say, well, where's my product? And they say, well, I ain't got your product. And then if I say, well, but you owe me a product because I gave you some money, and they say, well, go down to the street, go down to the store down the street, tell them to give you a product. They ain't giving you nothing. And I'll be like, yeah, but I didn't give them my money. I didn't give them my money, so I don't know why you think they should give me a product that you didn't give me. Them not giving me a product when I didn't give them nothing ain't the same as you not giving me a product when I gave you something. And I know that that's too logical for some people to get, But but I mean, I know people get caught in their emotions, but this is facts over feelings, and I know feelings matter for sure. I respect feelings. I've learned about feelings. I've become emotionally intelligent. As a married man with daughters, you got to learn how to get in touch with your emotions. So I really consider myself to be civilized in that way. But at the end of the day, two plus two is going to always have to be four. And two plus two, the fact that there are people out here telling you that two plus two is 186, that explains every single reason why the black community is usually at the bottom of the list when it comes to wealth. We're usually at the bottom of the list when it comes to education. We're usually at the bottom of the list when it comes to community violence. We're at the bottom of the list in terms of emotional and physical despair. Um, and I dare say that when you process that, a lot of it comes down to the fact that we are very good at being told what to do. Because think about it, we're at the top of the list when it comes to voting. We show up and we'll vote. But I don't. But so it seems to me, right? It seems to me like again, I'm being overly logical here. It seems to me that if voting is really that important, and you vote more than anybody, you vote as much as you play basketball, we vote as much as we twerk, we vote as much as we play football, we vote as much as we go to church. So it seems to me that if voting is the way to improve the black community, and we vote more than anybody, then you would expect the black community to be up here. Am I right or am I right? Don't get mad at me. I want you to hear what I'm saying. I know people get mad when you bring facts to the table, but that's all I got. I ain't got nothing but facts. And if you don't agree with me, then bring some other facts to show me where I'm wrong. And what is so fascinating to me is that no one can bring me facts to prove to me that these parties have helped black people. The only facts they can bring to me is that Trump is a jerk. But that's not a good fact because I'm going to agree with you. I'm gonna be like, yeah, he's kind of a narcissist, probably. I've watched him for. He's probably corrupt and everything else. And then they'll say, yeah, but and the Republicans are racist. I mean, yeah, white people probably. If you go back and you read Dr. Claude Anderson books, they'll tell you that white people have never liked your black ass. So I'm not surprised by that. Maybe you are. Maybe you thought that they were going to come and protect you. But if you've been reading books like Black Labor, White Wealth, listen to the title by Dr. Claude Anderson. He would explain to you like, no, they've never really shown up to save the black community. So at the end of the day, I'm going to agree with every fact you bring, and then I'm going to say, okay, now what? Now what? And that's what we can end this conversation on. I think the biggest question for any black person to ask themselves who sees all this stuff happening and all this back and forth and oh, Trump ain't nothing but a racist and all these black people they're doing okay, is now what? That's the question. Now what? Now what? What you gonna wait for white folks to decide to be nice enough to save your community? If you do that, you're gonna be waiting for the rest of your life because they're not going to do that. Now what? What are you gonna just vote again and think that that's gonna give you a different outcome? Einstein said the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's a fact. That's scientific. Um, now what? Now what? Because I mean, remember, AI is here. And you think that Trump taking 300,000 black jobs was bad? Wait till you see the other 2 or 3 million jobs that are going to be taken from AI from the black community. I'm talking about the black community alone. Nationwide, it's more like probably 80, 100 million, something. I don't know. Now what? Are you ready? Or are you going to continue to yell and scream about what some politicians said? These politicians, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. Most of them work for APAC. If you look at where they take money from, you will never hear. And I imagine, I don't know, I got to check with Jasmine Crockett, but I'm assuming this is the case for her too. You will almost never ever hear, anybody ever notice this? You will almost never ever hear a politician, black or white, ever criticize Israel for anything. You will never see that. Well, why is that? It's that money. Apex out there making it rain on them hoes like they a pack of strippers. That's what they doing to these politicians. They like we want to make it rain on these hoes because we know that money is a remote control. That we make it rain on you and we control you economically. We can tell you what to do. So I dare you to go up to Jasmine Crockett and say, "How do you feel about the slaughtering in Gaza and the genocide in Gaza?" She ain't gonna say nothing. She's gonna walk away. She gonna say, "Yeah, but Trump ain't nothing but a fat, dirty bastard," and whatever, man. Like, it's all smoke and mirrors, man. And I hate being the one to have to say this, but here's where I want to end with Jasmine Crockett and Stephen A. Smith, and this is all I'm asking you to do is I'm saying like let's stop writing off what this older black man says just because he's a Republican. He's clearly a Republican. And Stephen A. Smith, Lord knows Stephen ain't perfect. I've criticized him before, right? But he's a 50-something, 60-year-old black man who's made $100 million. His family is doing very well. He's good at what he does. I know I'm friends with Jason Whitlock, and Jason hates Steve, and I know they all hate each other for whatever reason. I don't give a shit. I don't love either one of them. I don't hate either one of them. I could work with either one. I've worked with both of them, and it is what it is. All I'm saying is that older black men, when they talk, even when you disagree, you owe them your ear. At least lend them your ear. Because unlike most of these bastards on Capitol Hill, I guarantee you that Stephen A. Smith has protected his black child. I think he's got a daughter. I'm sure he has protected the hell out of his black daughter. Ain't none of these white sons of bitches ever protected a black woman in their life. Trump, the Democrat, Joe Biden, none of them. I'm sure he loves his mother, right? So why can't we listen to black people that just have a different point of view, who are just saying, hey, why don't we try this instead, y'all? Because here's the thing that's funny to me. I know that a lot of people, and I got friends like this, like my friend Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, one of my best buddies. Love Willie, love him, love my homeboy. He has an issue with Stephen A, and he has an issue with Stephen A attacking Jasmine Crockett, and I fully respect that. But the thing that bothers me about some of this is if Jasmine Crockett was a black Republican and being equally irate, equally loud, equally obnoxious, a big chunk of the black community would say nothing but disrespectful things about her. They would say, "Oh, you old coon, you old this, you old that," right? And that's the part that's kind of interesting to me is how we've allowed these colonizers, these two political parties, to define to us what it means to be black. That somehow, because I'm a black Democrat, I have the right to tell you that you're not black because you're a Republican. Or if I'm a black Republican, I have the right to say you're cooning out because you're a Democrat. I think that ain't nothing but colonization. That is a symptom, in my view, of a community that doesn't know who they are. Because if you knew who you are, you would never let other people define your blackness. It goes back to when Joe Biden did that interview and he said, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. And in case you don't know about that, right before that interview, Charlemagne texted me and asked me questions I should ask Biden. I said, ask him about this and this and this. They don't talk to people like me because they're afraid of people like me, and I understand why. If I was them, I'd be afraid of me too. So I went through the back door and I sent not. Oh, my friend Dame Dash would say pause, right? So I went through the back door, pause, and I text Charlemagne a bunch of questions. I said, ask him about this and this and this and this, and he asked some of those questions, and that man blew a freaking gasket. That's why he got mad. That's why they cut the interview off. Mr. Biden has a previous engagement. Yeah, I bet he does because they don't really want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to people like you and I. They want to talk to comedians. They want to talk to rappers. They want to talk to people that they have leverage over, celebrities. They don't want to talk to regular black folks because even if you notice, even when they had that whole conversation about ICE coming to a black neighborhood, the number one people they should have been talking to should have been people that lived in that neighborhood. If you notice, not one single CNN, Fox, no, none of these people were really talking to the people that lived in that building. Oh, we heard ICE was coming in and they're shooting black babies in the face and stealing them and kidnapping them and killing them. Okay, well, ask the people, ask the baby's mother, ask the people in the building that live next to these immigrants that they never saw before last year, and ask them, how do you feel about this? Does anybody else, or am I the only one who thinks that's a little bit weird? I want to ask you all this. This is a serious question. Am I the only one, or was I born like on the wrong planet? To me, this is nothing more than common sense. Common sense says, okay, if you really want to get to the heart of this, then you ask the right questions to the right people. Like, for example, if you really want to solve the black economic problem, you would talk to black economic experts. But when Barack Obama was in office, he had 1,000 meetings with Al Sharpton, no meetings with Dr. Claude Anderson, none with Julianne Malveaux, both of whom live right there in Washington, D.C. both of whom have expertise in economics, both of whom would have had a long list of policy recommendations that could have improved the condition of the black community. So the reason that your problems don't get solved, and again, remember, I'm a mathematician. That's what we do. We solve problems. The reasons your problems didn't get solved is because they were spending less energy actually solving the problem and all their energy pretending to solve the problem, posturing to solve the problem. They were like a basketball player. You know, you imagine a basketball player where you say, okay, let's play some basketball and see how good you are. And he says, okay. And he shows up and he got his shorts on and his headband on and he's stretching and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna dunk on you, man. I'm gonna get you. And he's just stretching and for 2 hours straight, he's twisting and he's stretching and he's practicing his jumper, but he never actually steps on the court. Why? Because he can't play basketball, right? He can't actually do the thing that he's claiming to do, but he knows that posturing and presentation and sort of being like sort of audacious in his behavior, that's going to actually distract you. He's hoping that will distract you from forcing him to actually make a move. Diddy was notorious for that. Diddy's the ultimate in terms of providing a whole lot of flash and no substance. There's no substance from the politicians. So they'll sit here and they will scream Black Lives Matter, get you riled up over a whole bunch of stuff, go say a whole bunch of superlatives, wear the right colors, put up a street sign in your mama's name, and all these other things. But then when it comes down to actually solving the problem, that never actually happens, largely because they don't sit down with the right people to solve the problem. So what does this mean? Well, as far as what I know about the history of the black community, we've never expected Republicans to be the ones to solve anything for black people because we're not Republicans, we're mostly Democrats. So if you look at the people you've been giving your votes to, um, not only have the problems not been solved, because we went through that explanation that black conditions of life, quality of life has not improved in the black community. Even though you're the first ones to vote in every election, your quality of life doesn't get better. It doesn't mean your vote doesn't have power. Voting does have power. It just doesn't give power to you, right? It's like yeah, it's like I don't know, like if I go run on a treadmill and it doesn't mean I'm not exerting energy. Yeah, I am really exerting real energy, but the power that comes from that might be going into a generator. So you're like the rats on the treadmill that are powering a generator that's running the building. Does that make sense? I don't know if y'all know this, but this is how treadmills were invented. They were invented as punishment for prison inmates, and they would make the prison inmates run on the treadmills all day, and they would take the energy from the inmate and use that to run the generator inside the building, right? So you do have power in the sense that your voting actually fuels multi-billion dollar initiatives. Your voting actually fuels multi-billion dollar corporations. Your voting fuels the wealth and the power of lots of people. And that's the commodification of black people that's been occurring for hundreds of years. But the question is, and this is where I end up sounding like an uppity Negro, is I'm the guy who shows up and says, well, what's in it for you? What comes back to you? Where are you extracting some of this power and this value? If you're on the treadmill running like a damn rat and all this energy is coming out of your body and it's powering up the generator, do you at least have a generator in your house so that power can come back to you, even at least half of it? And so what happens is though is that if you're not conscious, if you're not smart about how these systems work, then what's going to happen is they're going to get you so riled up about exerting energy that you're going to forget about the outcome of the energy. You're not going to know how to properly target that energy. So same thing happens with your economic energy. Money is energy. So when you spend, and they get you excited about spend, and they don't teach you to invest, and prepare, then what's going to happen is you're going to spend, work your ass off, spending your whole life. Y'all know people who've done this, who've been spending money for 40, 50 years, fueling the whole damn economy, paying everybody's bills, taking care of this, taking care of that, and then you done work 50 years and you have a lower net worth than a newborn baby. How in the hell is it that you went to college 40 years ago and you owe more in student loans now than you did in 1988? That don't make no damn sense. But you got people out there like that. And that's because nobody ever sat you down and said, let's really think this thing through. Let's be logical. Let's not be emotional. Emotional is like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go get them. And you get on the treadmill because you have a false faith. You have faith in the wrong God. The Democrats become your gods. The politicians become the corporation becomes your God. So your false faith in the God is where you believe that somehow if I get out here and and I'm running on a treadmill, that somehow that's going to benefit you. And you're going to be like, well, of course it should benefit me. And you go, why? Well, because I've been running my ass off. I've been running. I'm so tired. I've been running. I've been going. So, so, you playing checkers, not chess. That's why you tired and you still ain't got no benefit from being, if you're going to be tired, at least have something beneficial that results from your fatigue, right? Show me a reward you received for all the fatigue you endured. If you can't show me a reward, that means you haven't sat your ass down and thought the damn thing through. You just did what you were told and didn't think about steps 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's what happened there. Think about this. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a young lady that I mentored about making money and working on a job. And she had a job and she was mad that she lost the job and she didn't have any money and wasn't getting paid very well. And I said, I said, so what makes you think you should have gotten paid more money? And she said, well, because I worked hard. I said, that's it? She said, yeah, I mean, I showed up every day and I worked. I said, yeah, okay, so that'll get you a wage. I said, but working hard in itself does not mean a damn thing. Like you could be, it would if you gave me the assignment to take this ink pen, pick it up, and drop it 40,000 times, I would have to work really hard to do that. That would take a really long time. I could spend, the next 80 hours doing this task. But ain't nobody gonna pay me just because I was working hard. It pays me just because I was lifting this pen up and dropping it. No, the question is, are you adding value? And is that value being added to something that connects back to you? Are you set up in a system that allows you to be the beneficiary of all this hard work? Or are you in a situation where you're doing all the work and somebody else is getting the benefit? And really, what ends up happening, because we're not, as children, we're not trained on how systems work. We're not trained on how, like, why is it that this white man wants to hire me so bad? Why is it that these Democrats really want to make sure that I vote? Because they're always going to give you some bullshit. Excuse my French. They're going to give you some type of explanation. Well, you have to vote because your ancestors died for you to vote. Okay, I get it. And I don't like, I mean, dead ancestors, that makes all of us sad. But just because they died for it doesn't mean that it benefits me now. So then maybe a next question might be, I get it, and thank you for telling me that my ancestors died, Mr. White Man. I'm so happy to know that you are temporarily concerned about the plight of my people, even though you ain't never been concerned before. But suddenly you're super concerned now. You know how they get that selective outrage over racism, right? I would say, okay, well, now that we know my ancestors died for me to vote, and I don't have no problem with voting. Voting is cool. I need to know what I'm going to get for that vote. I need to know what happens after I vote. When I vote for you, what are you going to do for me to make sure that when I put out this energy to you and give that power to you, that this power is somehow going to come back to me, that I'm going to get some cut of the deal. Because what they'll do with your money, with your votes, and with your attention is they take it, they package it up, and then they go sell it somewhere else. That's capitalism. Buy low, sell high. Ain't nobody lower on the totem pole than black people. Buy low, sell high. I go get it from black folks and then I go make my money. Buy low, sell high. Even the charities do it with poverty, what they call it, poverty porn, where they will go and they will film starving black babies in Africa and they will package it up in a nice little marketing deal and market it all over the globe, collect $1 billion in donations, and keep those same people in poverty. Of course, you got to stay in poverty. You're the damn golden goose. That little starving black baby with the swollen stomach and the skinny arms with the flies on his eyeballs, that's marketing gold. That's that's big money, right? Why in the world would we want this kid to eat well, be healthy, and be self-sufficient? Because that's going to jack up the whole business model. Right? So no, we need you to stay right where you are and stay in the exact condition. If anybody catches this little Ethiopian Negro, if anybody sees him eating, I want you to snatch that Twinkie out of his hand and make sure that he's ready for showtime because we got a good thing going. So what I'm saying to you, here's where I'm going with this. I gotta stop in a minute. I gotta go. Is that too much of this stuff is smoke and mirrors, man. Too much of it is excessive and direct manipulation. I have none of it. I'm not interested in any of it. And I understand if people don't get my perspective, because number one, I'm not right about everything. I'm still learning. So God ain't through with me yet. If I offended you, then please forgive me. Chalk it up to me not knowing how to always say things in the right way. I'm just trying to be honest here. But at the same time, I ask you to give me some, what's the word? Some leeway. Give me just a little bit, cut me a little bit of slack and at least hear me. And I say this, I'm not defending Stephen A. because I don't know the man like that. He was nice to me when I met him, but I don't know him like that. But I think that there is a problem in the community where when a black man over 50 talks, people will assume, oh, you don't know nothing, you old, or oh, you just a black man. Because the black women have gotten the good jobs and the political power and everything else. And I felt like in this last election, they were telling black men to shut up and do what you're told. And I'm gonna just tell you the truth, in case you don't know about real men, masculine men, is that masculine men are not easily controlled. And so in the black community, since we had that 30 years since Biden put everybody in prison in the 1990s, a lot of these men have come home. A lot of these men have found themselves. A lot of these men have grown up and they're showing up with an opinion. And that opinion has to be heard. If you love the black family, you got to hear what mama says. You got to hear what daddy says. You got to hear what the sister says. You got to hear what the brother says. You got to listen to everybody. And so to sort of write off Stephen A's critique as a 60-year-old black man who does have wisdom, who's taking care of his black daughter. I don't know his wife. I've never seen his wife, but he's got a daughter. She looks just like him, got the big forehead and everything. So, she seems happy and taken care of. Why not at least just say, okay, let me just hear your perspective and give him a voice instead of saying you don't have a right to talk because you're not on the Democratic Party train like the rest of us. I think that that's wrong. I really do. And so for me, yeah, if you want to know, so everybody knows, I'm not on the Democratic train or the Republican train. I voted for Cornel West, man, because I like good human beings. He's a good person, and I believe we need good people in the White House. I don't think Trump is one of them. But I didn't think Biden was one of them either. That man was a damn corpse. That man need to be. They need to. That was elder abuse keeping that poor man in prison. So anyway, but that's me. That's my 2 cents. Your opinion ain't got to be mine, and I get it. If you're mad about something else, I understand. All right. So anyway, God bless you guys. I'm gonna get out of here. In case you want to know, in terms of getting results, one thing I do, I put my money where my mouth is. So we, in the Black Business School, we sponsor things. We sponsored D1's tour recently. D1's doing great. He just made a great song with Juvenile and Boosie, and D1's just doing great stuff. And I love D1 because he's changing hip hop culture. Hip hop culture has been very anti-black for about 25, 30 years, and D1's shifting that. So we're supporting that financially. King Randall has a school down in Georgia. Go look up King Randall School. He's got those black boys on point. These are the types of young men that you want marrying your daughters. You want them as husbands and fathers in the community. He's doing that. So I wrote him a check as soon as I saw what he was doing. So we support whatever we possibly can. And then also, I'm a finance professor. That's my PhD's in finance, in case you don't know. And I teach finance every single morning for free to anybody that wants to listen. So well over 10,000 of you have signed up for the morning class. So if you want to sign up, just pull out your phone, text the word morning to the number 87948. That's morning to 87948. And also this weekend, we're doing a Black AI conference. And if you text morning to 87948, I'll send you a link to join us for the AI conference. It's digital, it's online, so you can join from anywhere. And we're bringing in a bunch of Black AI experts so that our people can be prepared. We're not trying to achieve equality. We actually want to win. We believe Black people should be winning. We believe Black people should be excellent. We believe we should be the best because we believe we are the best. And that's what we stand on. And I ain't backing down from none of that. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for hearing me out. I appreciate you. And I'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.